Welcome back. Sam the electrician here, talking about Western independence and Alberta separation. Glad you could join me again. Big shout out to everybody. I crossed a minor milestone on this channel. I have over 100 subscribers now. Thank you to everyone for subscribing and tuning into my ranting about this subject. I appreciate the engagement for everyone who leaves comments. I appreciate anyone who wants to share these videos with other people, share the ideas, get the idea behind the movement out there. I know we're not always going to agree on every nuance, but I think that we all agree broadly that Alberta needs its independence. Saskatchewan and parts of BC and Manitoba, Yukon, Northwest Territories are more than welcome to come in. I've often said that I see Alberta leading the way, and the other provinces and territories can come out or have plebiscites for certain areas if they want. And our friends and allies in central Canada, who are fellow freedom lovers, can move on out here when we form the Republic. And we're going to have a housing boom out here, the likes of which Alberta and Saskatchewan have never seen. We won't be able to build houses fast enough, in my opinion, to house all the our fellow freedom-loving Canadians who still think independently from Ottawa and want to make their own way into the future with as minimal government interference as they can, and they still believe in meritocracy and the value of labor, and not giving everything that you have to the government so they can redistribute it to people who don't want to work. Yeah, big shout out to all the people out there who are tuning in. Today I wanted to talk about this insane idea I read about in the newspaper lately, because it seems that probably every second article in the mainstream media is about climate change these days. It's incessant and overwhelming. The number of mainstream media articles about climate change, it's just, I can't even believe it. For every 10 or 12 articles, 11 of them are about climate change and about how we have to change everything and how we're not, all the propaganda that I go on about. But this one's a new one to me, and I thought it was very telling of the level of control that these people want. Anyone who watches the channel knows that I think climate change is just a cover for a communist takeover, as far as I'm concerned. And this new idea kind of hits the nail right on the head, as far as I'm concerned, with that belief. This is the idea of district heating systems, where a bunch of buildings would be clustered around a smaller industrial building that will burn all sorts of fuel and then pipe the heat into the other buildings, the homes and the businesses around it. That is right out of dystopian science fiction literature. A centralized building where your energy comes from. So the government has complete control over the energy that goes in and out of your house. So what happens when you're convicted of wrongthink? They turn off your heat in the winter. Or if you want to turn your thermostat up a couple degrees, oh no, you can't, because you don't have the control. You're not allowed. The government determines what the temperature is going to be in your house from now on, and you better like it. This is just insane. Not to mention the cost of building. You would have to reorganize the entire Western world and cluster houses and buildings around these heating centers or energy centers. And then you'd need all sorts of new transport to bring the fuel to these places. It's more activity, it's more pollution, it's more environmental damage and interference, if you think about it. You'd have to tear old buildings down and build new ones. You'd have to, all the stuff that goes along with that, the iron and steel you need to mine to get the materials to build the new buildings. And then what kind of fuel are you going to use to burn the fuel? Like, you still need fuel to burn. They're talking about burning garbage and all other sorts of fuels as well, but you still need a base fuel to burn that fuel. And you can't get that from solar cells or wind power. So you're still going to need fossil fuels, or wood, and so it doesn't make any sense. logistically, and the cost alone, I mean, it would be in the trillions just to do that. But as I said, I think the government control of the interior of your house and how much energy you're allowed to use. I mean, they're rolling brownouts come to mind. Oh, sorry, you've used your allotment of energy for the day. You're environmentally unconscious, so we're gonna punish you. You don't get your lights tonight. You don't get your heat tonight. You're gonna have to put on a sweater and shiver through tonight's as a learning lesson because you have thoughts opposite to ours. It's just the opportunity for total government control. They never cease to try to jump on these ideas of let's just hand over every aspect of our lives to an overreaching government. It sounds great. It's just so comical that people even write this stuff in the newspapers. It's like the guy who wrote that Canada should join the EU. It just runs so opposite to how we think and what we believe out west, the individual freedom and the individuality versus collectivism, as I've said in other videos, the groupthink hive mind of the left and these communists, basically environmentalist radicals. I mean, is it that they can't see the fact that this could go terribly wrong, or is it that are they that naive that they think this is a good plan? I don't know. It's hard to say. They might just be searching for something to write about too. Who knows? I get a kick out of some of it, and that was one of the wackier ideas that came up this week that I saw. I thought you might enjoy having a chuckle about that with me. So thanks again for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.